We're inside the second pyramid at Giza. Some call the Khafre Pyramid. This is the main interior chamber, which conventional archaeology calls a tomb. However, the resonance inside here is so incredible that others believe that this was part of a energy generator, that the pyramids here were energy generating structures or vibrational structures, and not built as the tombs of egotistical rulers. Now this is the box, so-called sarcophagus, made out of a rose granite, and it didn't fit or drop down on top. The lid didn't drop on top of the box, it actually slid into place.
Yeah, that might be.
Right here, yeah.
Along that, I think maybe.
So all the white here that we see.
So this is the exterior of what is called the second pyramid, or some call the Khafre Pyramid. The lower casing stone, that which is still here, is rose granite from the quarry at Aswan, and then it goes part way up, and then after that it's Tura limestone, which is almost pure calcium carbonate. And as part of the Giza power plant hypothesis of people such as engineer Christopher Dunn, the exterior skin to some degree acted as an insulator, and then the limestone that was the core is full of salts and minerals, and so it could actually conduct electricity. So again, it's like this was a giant resonating structure built thousands of years before the dynastic. And this is what we see in many parts of the world, especially in Peru and Bolivia and here in Egypt. Structures thousands of years older than the famous culture which supposedly built them. But in fact, the story is that a very ancient, high-tech culture of some kind constructed not only the pyramids of the Giza Plateau, but a massive tunnel system underneath the Giza Plateau as well, going north, south, east, and west, and going for miles. Something happened to them, something catastrophic. And then afterwards, what we call the pharaohs, or the pharaonic Egyptians, or dynastic Egyptians, moved into the area about 5,000 years ago, and adopted these sites, of course, these places, and renamed them, and in some cases reused them. So, the second pyramid here, this is where the stone was quarried in terms of the blocks themselves. And it's so heavily weathered that we can't see the tool marks involved. But not only that, here you can see that they cut the blocks down, starting at the top of the plateau, straight down like that, in order to remove the blocks and create this shape.
Yes, and it's also all around.
Well, it's so obvious that the caves are probably took us.
The wavelengths of the sound frequency. So if we believe these were for sound. But what I wanted to point out is that huge crack in the wall. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if this was even made during the dynasty while the crack, or if it was made with the crack in here, they would usually fill it. Same like the crack we saw down there in the caves under.
Yeah.
Remember the huge crack in the wall that was filled with a material like cement?
Right.
Yeah, so if they had it here, if they had it during the structure, they would fill it with the same material. But this one looked like something shook it, that it isolated the whole gate, because this was originally one block.
Or maybe like the unfinished obelisk, they stopped work.
Very similar, but not the same. You can see also that this technique, which we still going to see in the unfinished obelisk, is quite primitive and failure. In most cases here, they could not split. Use this huge slab, and instead of like something like that half here, should work. Especially that if you're gonna case it, could have had it as a secret knowledge. We found evidence of this machining in devices that were found in a pre-dynastic location, like Marmada and Tasa and El-Badari, all in the...
See, here it's pretty good.
We would bolt the sides together. They said, no, this is one piece. How would you do this? He said, you guys required us. I have no idea.
They haven't cut that inside corner.
That's it.
This is the second pyramid at Giza, and now we're going to approach the third, the smallest of the three, which some call Menkaure, but we simply, at the Kemet School, call this the third pyramid, because, again, we don't believe that these were in any way, shape, or form tombs of pharaohs. Christopher Dunn was the man who initiated the theory that the series of three pyramids were in fact an energetic system, and that they were created quite possibly thousands of years prior to the dynastic Egyptians. There's a series of tunnels and shafts underneath this plateau that stretch for miles, north, south, east, and west. They go under these pyramids, and originally they carried water, and it was believed that water set up some kind of vibration because the proportions of the tunnels were exacting to create this vibratory effect, and that caused these huge things to set up a vibration. The vibration was transferred into some kind of energy, probably not electrical, but vibratory, and was used for, some say, to set up some kind of force field around the area, which allowed the builders to enter into much higher state of consciousness than we are capable of today. Whether you believe it or not, it's quite a prominent. So here we see these weird knob-like things that are on many of the surfaces, and that is similar to ancient pre-Inca structures in Peru as well. So originally this entire pyramid was encased in pink granite that came from Aswan, which is 500 miles away. So the question is, if all of this casing stone was removed afterwards by later cultures who wanted the material as for building their own buildings or statues or whatever, then why are there casing stones still at the bottom? Doesn't it make sense to start removing from the bottom and go upwards rather than from the top and come down? The theory, according to what we call the Giza power plant, or the energetic concept, is that several thousand years ago, these generators, these energy generators, there was a catastrophic event of some kind, and they literally went into, not overdrive, but they were over flooded with energy, and that caused this hyper vibration to the surface, and that may have been what caused the casing stones to literally peel off due to this hyper vibration to it, and that also turned the system off, and they haven't worked to this very day. But if you go inside these pyramids, you feel this residual energy that's still functioning. It's as though it's running at 1/10 of 1% of its original capacity possible.
A different cut. Yeah.
Different section.
But they've chosen the whole corridor here
This was up.
to be made. And it has the knobs too.
They seem to do that a lot, use this really dark stuff for...
You see the knobs here?
Entranceways,
Yeah.
corridors.
Oh yeah, they're more.
Yeah, there was always a big Tony.
And then here you see mud brick, which is a very primitive form of building on the outside of megalithic.
Beautiful as is.
So clearly the mud brick comes later and is more primitive than the prior workmanship, and this is counter to conventional archaeology. So this is just one of several examples that we encounter, especially here in Egypt as well as in Peru and Bolivia, where you have more sophisticated technology existing prior to less sophisticated. Conventional scholarship tells us that we went from primitive people to sophisticated people, but in fact it's more likely that human civilization went in cycles, primitive to very high, to a collapse, to rising above and a collapse, and that's why sites in countries such as Egypt, here at the third pyramid, we're encountering very sophisticated work that pre-existed what is conventionally thought as dynastic work. The dynastic work, in fact, was better than the later Greek work, which was better than the Roman work, which came after that.